Okay, here goes nothing. I suppose some words of introduction are in order. My name is Phoenix Kennedy. I'm from San Francisco, California. I've been living in Guatemala for over 5 years now. Surprised without a telephone or WhatsApp or Instagram or Facebook or any of that stuff for the vast majority of this time. Last couple of years without a fridge. Anyway, I've been shying away from making videos about Bernadette Roberts for all this time because of some backlash I received after writing books about her against her wishes. And now I don't really care what anyone thinks, and I still think that the works and videos of Bernadette are super important. They have the possibility to unite not only Christians, but Christians and Muslims and Jews, and also atheists and people who practice nature religions. Her ideas are deep, and I think they come from a completely unique perspective. She's a way outside the box thinker. And I think you'll find that if you stick with these videos, you will eventually come to understand that her worldview is integrated and whole and authentic. My intention is to make 20-minute videos, maybe once a week, exploring and explaining one chapter of one of her books. I'm starting off with this one, Essays on the Christian Contemplative Journey, the first chapter, and I hope to cover them in somewhat of an organized way. I think I'm starting in the right place. This is what theologians call fundamental theology, which is all about revelation and kind of like what is theology. So I don't really care if you like, subscribe, share, any of that stuff. I'm not into algorithms. I would appreciate it if you would comment, especially if you have questions or things you don't understand. And I would just say, hang in there, because you will be exposed to a lot of new ideas, I hope. And I hope they will challenge you and inspire you and edify you. And I hope that together we can all grow in interior perfection and not be so concerned about the exterior and what text message we're receiving next, etc. Sorry, I'm not more handsome and funny and articulate and have a more beautiful voice. This is what life is, as Bernadette would say, warts and all. And the profundity of the incarnation is that this is what God accepted, humanity, warts and all. So the definition that she gives for religion is two sides of the same coin. One, God revealing itself to man, and two, humanity's acceptance, reception of that revelation. So our journey then is one of integrating different spiritual revelations, different spiritual experiences that various people throughout history have had. Spiritual development is not psychological development. Psychological development is focused on the self and looking for the whole integrated self, and spiritual development is focused solely on God. And what happens is psychological development often happens as a result of spiritual development. She defines God as that which can only be revealed. By definition, it is not conceivable. And the revelation that is given dictates the path and the goal. More on that in a second. The knowledge that remains as a result of the revelation is more important than the experience that passes. Again, you'll see my format is just bullet notes. I hope that these are spiritual gems. And if you want me to flesh them out, ask questions, but also just read her books. The reason why everyone's spiritual path is different is because there are three variables. One, there is the height, depth, and breadth of God revealed alternatively. Two, there is the self that is constantly changing. And three, there are various turning points and milestones of the path that we have been set upon that happen at different times for different people. She says that we all have a truth sensor in us that can be activated if we don't focus on the experience or the experiencer, but instead on that which is revealed. So again, I hope that your truth sensor is active and alive and alert and awake and is piqued by various things that you hear from Bernadette's works. There is an innate knowing that humans have that is not available to the intellect because it does not arrive from the intellect. This knowing is the creator knowing its creation and creation knowing its creator. This knowing is the ground of faith, which is a not belief and participates in some measure in God's own knowing. We remember, say, Meister, actually he's not saint, he was kind of kicked out. Meister Eckhart, the eye with which I know God is the same eye with which God knows me. What one gleans from, here's the first of the three major revelations that I'm going to be talking about today. God and nature. And what one gleans from experience of God and nature will exceed all knowledge that can be gained in any other way. So this is not some jejune, paltry, primitive way of knowing God. Every of the three major ways is the fullness. So what is God and nature? One, it is omnipresence. It is more formless throughout all of creation. It is the mystery in which all things exist. At other times, it seems to flow through all that exists. She says, I'm convinced people see this all the time, only they don't know it. Heraclitus said something similar. The eye that sees God is the same eye with which God sees creation. The eye does not belong to us at all. Infused contemplation cannot be acquired. It is a habitual grace at the mystery of what lies behind, throughout, or prior to the sensory world. It can be seen in becoming one with the flow of Taoism, or oneness with the logos of Stoicism through achieving apatheia, which, as we all know by now, has nothing to do with apathy. God, immanent in nature, wants us to see him and wants us to know he sees us. She has an experience in this, her autobiography called Contemplative, in which she describes sitting on the beach when she was 3 or 4, and there's a kind of a cloud that came up out of this is an autographed copy. It says, James, sorry about this mistake, it will be fixed, love you, Bernadette. Something coming out of the sea and waiting for it to see her and wanting her to know that it has seen her and waiting before it disappeared. God and nature can also seem like being suddenly pointed out in a crowd. Again, she describes all of these. She takes from her direct experience. So she was 9 years old, suffering tremendously from a debilitating hip bone disease, and her parents took her to the Basilica of Our Lady of Guadalupe on Tepeyac Hill outside of Guatemala City, where on the last day of that retreat, kneeling near the front altar, with tons of candles in front of her and lots of smoke rising to the ceiling, and she looks up to the dome of the ceiling where all this smoke is, and she sees this vision of the Blessed Virgin Mary with kind of a scribe at her side taking down notes, taking down all the petitions and requests that all the people all around her are praying so ardently for. And then suddenly the scribe points at her, and she's like shocked and taken aback, and the Blessed Virgin Mary kind of waves her hand dismissively as if, oh, well, she's already taken care of. And so she was really thrilled at that because she knew that the one thing that she asked for was to see God, and then she knew that that would happen. And in fact, it did happen a few months later when she was 10 in the Sierra Madre Mountains. Anyway, read her autobiography. God and nature